Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Thing too, dude. I'm still editing flag football pictures. On top of I have content creators messaging like, "Yo, where's the pictures? Where's the pictures? You got the pictures yet?" Like, no, dude. I got 2,500 pictures to go through. In an actual job. This isn't paying the bills.
Yeah. It do be like that.
I do appreciate it though. It's kind of fun though having people reach out to me wanting our goods.
Important people, especially on today of days.
Today?
Yeah.
What's today? Am I missing something?
All of the tweets about Rocket League's 10th birthday.
Oh, dude, everyone's crashing out about that.
Are they?
Why aren't you guys announcing? Yeah, everyone's like, why aren't you announcing something? That freaking mean that Grease guy or whatever their name is.
Oh yeah.
That dude is at the bottom of every single thing, crashing out.
Dude, there's no way in hell they announce it before Worlds.
Like they literally, the season is ending on Worlds. Something big is coming then. That it's clearly lined up for that, and like all they're doing is just like festering a crowd of rioters. Because that's all the community's looking to do is just riot.
They want to riot about everything.
Pretty much.
There's drama about everything. But
it's a 10-year anniversary. You're not announcing it. Let it be, dude.
Chill. Yeah. But with that, hello everyone and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle, K-Cube, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the photographer, Quilly. As you just took a bite of food, I didn't mean to do that to you. Sorry about that.
The eater of range pork chops.
Are they good?
Oh, delicious.
Hell yeah. But on today's episode, we'll be continuing to talk about the Raleigh Majors, more talking about our favorite moments, how it compares to other RLCS lands, and kind of any other thoughts, positive, negative, everything in between about the major. From there, we will then talk about what's next for the rosters headed to the Esports World Cup and the World Championships, and we'll finish off with the Red List roster rumors, and that'll be it for today. So first and foremost, we've had a little bit more time, a little over a week now since we got back from the event. Do you kind of have? Is there anything that you've been thinking about that you're like, you know what, I really should have said this on the last one, but I didn't?
It's all kind of still a blur to me. Everything that's happened that weekend. That weekend was kind of crazy. But the one thing I do keep harping back on, we did talk about already, but hanging out with Vinny while watching that Team Secret win over Ultimates, that was sick. But then also I also vividly remember Team Ultimates walking out just looking so depressed after. That was not as fun of a sight. But watching Vinny or being there with Vinny to watch that Team Secret win, that was huge, beyond huge for them. Still one of my favorite moments that I keep replaying. And then seeing him on the day after while they were playing Mates, seeing him still up in the press VIP area, just stressing. I knew he was going through the rounds again, and they got I still can't believe they got another win in round one. That was insane.
The scriptwriters went crazy on that one.
Yeah, not only did they make it out of Swiss, they won a round one and made top 6.
Yep, top 6.
That's crazy. And Furia, not even there. Unfortunately, they did draw K Corp, but not even there.
Yeah, I mean, it is like that is easily one of the most memorable moments for me as well. Like, I went back and watched the broadcast, and you can definitely hear us yelling, which makes it even more funny because I know what it is. Like, is there sometimes on the broadcast where you hear somebody yell or you hear a weird noise and you're like, wonder what that was? This time we know because it was us, right? We didn't get to be on the broadcast like Snipes did, but we at least were heard on the broadcast, which is really half the battle. Exactly.
We made an impact in our own way.
So the only thing that I was like, I'd be curious about is Ultimates walked right past us. Right after the game was over, they maybe could see us yelling from the Swiss Abyss. Do you think that they would have heard us, or do you think the noise canceling headphones did enough?
I think I think they've told us in there the noise canceling headphones take out everything.
I mean, that would make sense.
The actual LAN completely different, but I think in there I think other than us talking about, unless First Killer's hearing this now, I think we're good from their wrath.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like realistically too, like they've said in multiple interviews now, they can't really hear the crowd noise, but they feel it and they see it. And they can it's just kind of a presence, right? Especially if they're cheering for you when they get I think Sathy was talking about it. He said, when you have the crowd with you and like you're getting close to a goal, like the crowd gets hyped and you can sense that, and it's like, okay, we got to score now. The crowd's with us, but so it can sometimes be a positive and a negative. But yeah, but I'm pulling myself off topic here. But that was a good one. That Twisted Minds series, reverse sweeping K Corp.
Which one?
Reverse sweeping K Corp in top 8 was crazy. And still, I mean, I know we talked about it last time, right? Like the secret thing when we talked about the Leaf X thing. If K Corp wins without dropping a series, I'm following that man till the day I die. Like what? Either he knows something we don't, or this man just has elite ball knowledge.
Could be.
It's unreal.
We didn't ask him his EWC predictions though, so he gets the buffer until Worlds.
Yeah, maybe he's only got the RLCS ball though. You never know, right? Because if you would have told me, this time last year that BDS wins EWC, I would have laughed at you. Right? So maybe he doesn't want to just get laughed out of the building at first, right? Because
EWC and Worlds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't. That's just back to back. What a showing.
Yeah, but the next thing is, we've talked about our favorite parts. Do you have a least favorite part?
I mean, the obvious one, all of NA getting absolutely going from the highest of highs as an NA to the lowest of lows as an NA. Going from virtually starting undefeated, because obviously the first matchups were both NAs, but then after that, all 4 teams won their respective matchups. So starting off, we had 2 teams 2-0, 2 teams, right? I think NRG was 2-0. NRG was 2-0. Gen G and SSG were 1-1. It was as great of a start as it could possibly be, and then just absolute shambles. Depleted very quickly. Watched such a great start be unearthed right before our eyes, and NA just go down sad. I think that's the obvious one. And honestly, Seiko's one of my favorite players, so seeing them go out round 1 also was on the backhand of the secret win. It was also tough to see Seiko lose, but he was a very chill guy, very humble in the defeat, and seems very calm about it. Because obviously they were playing for pretty much number 2 or bust for Worlds, but we'll see how they do in LCQs.
Yeah, I agree. I am intrigued to see what happens with that, but I don't want to pull us off topic and steal content for myself again, but I think I would tend to agree in terms of a viewing perspective, right? Because because with all the NA teams losing, it kind of seemed like at least part of the home crowd was a little bit out of it for some of the series. It helped that Twisted Minds pulled an upset. It helped that Team Secret kept going because they were both crowd favorites very clearly. It helped that NRG certainly made top 4. So that, kept everybody interested. And I think most of all, seeing Mina win instead of an EU team win, I think is what kept the crowd through the grand finals. But so I would say, probably the least favorite part from the viewing experience being NA teams losing, when they did, made it even more frustrating because it was all NA friendly fire, right? Space Station had 2 NA losses of their 3 losses. That's kind of crazy. Ultimates had an NA loss in there. That's it just makes it difficult for
fair.
Yeah.
SSG didn't look good in any of those matchups. Not a single one of them did they look like not even a decent team.
Yeah, but I mean, and you look at K Corp's run, right? And they played 1 NA, 2 SAM, 1 EU, and 1 Mina. So it's not everybody had the same luck. Space Station played Mates, Ultimates, Gen G, and Foot. That's a tough draw. Furia get Wildcard, Vitality, Twisted, Virtus Pro, and KC. So some easy matches in there, but people have talked about this was the closest major that we've ever had. I would tend to agree with that. But from a not Rocket League perspective, I still really, really just do not understand the only one merch booth thing.
I think Blast has got to get in contact with us so we can figure this out for them, because clearly we're on a wavelength that they are not on yet, or maybe they are going to learn from this and see, like, even if what started out looking like a scary crowd number, the merch sales are still going to pull through. So, like, give us something, pull something crazy out. We need these in-person exclusives. We need something special here. I think that the only thing that like wasn't online was a hoodie.
Yeah, I think so too.
I also think we need to talk about the quality of merch. I think if they can get in contact with my people, I could figure that out for them. I don't have people.
It's you. You're the people.
It's just my DMs. They're open.
Yeah, but that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Although I will say, you know, in terms of venue, like W venue for like different types of food, for all different like anything you could want. They had a Chick-fil-A in there. They had like a cinnamon roll stand. They had Dippin' Dots. They had like, you know, all different kinds of food. So, you know, they had multiple places that people could buy alcohol, which I think Dickies had 2, which it made it really busy. And like the Dickies food and the drinks were fantastic, but like just the sheer number of people that were there for, you know, the number of people that could like get a drink at one time made it difficult. But like, you know, this venue in terms of amenities, in terms of like ability to get various different kinds of food and drinks, fantastic. Just maybe make a little bit more room somewhere and put a second merch stand in there, and maybe then bring more, and you won't sell out Saturday before the matches are over.
Yeah.
Also the weather. Oh my god. It's like almost 100 and like 90% humidity. I'm not built for that.
No, I can say I played golf one of the days while it was 100 degrees, and during the round it was a little bit hot, felt a little hot. After, I was like, yeah, I'm good. After, violently ill. The weather was diabolical, and it was just like out of nowhere. It's like the weekend before, it's like, you know what, we're gonna spend the entire week baking.
Yeah, it was not ideal, right? You'd walk outside, you're like, I like 8:30 in the morning when we left to go to the venue. Like, I am dripping in sweat, and I feel like I need more deodorant and another shower. And I've only been out here 5 minutes.
Very true.
Like, especially when we went out to take pictures of Project Octane. We went out to do some interviews with people. We were outside for maybe 20 minutes, and I walked back inside. I'm like, this was not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even get to experience all that stuff with you because I was out there for 5 minutes, and I was like, I was in pants and a button-up shirt, and I was like, nope, get me back to that air conditioning before I pass out.
Yeah. I mean, first world problems for sure with the air conditioning. Like, that was so nice. And having like a big, you know, drink fridge with all the drinks we wanted, which was also nice. But like, man, so hot. So absurdly hot.
I will say, though, one thing to complain about the drink situation, I got a Celsius downstairs, over $10 for a Celsius.
I mean,
diabolical.
I feel like that's like kind of par for the course at an arena because they got you trapped, but still kind of shitty.
I was so upset about it.
We should have stopped. We should have stopped before.
That was the one day. I think it was the last day of the event.
Oh,
that was the last day we didn't stop that day. Somewhere we didn't stop at the gas station front because I remember seeing the Celsius. Like, I'll just get a Celsius there. Completely forgetting stadium prices.
Well, that was also the day after we went to the house party.
True.
And we were there till like 2 a.m, so that was.
Yeah. I was not operating at full capacity that morning.
Yeah, but hey, professionals play hurt. You know, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
But is there anything else you wanted to talk about for Raleigh before we jump into where do teams go from here?
It was a great experience.
Oh wait,
I would do it 20 times over.
Is that how many lands have you been to now? Is that number 2 for you?
3.
Boston.
Yes, you're
right.
Dallas, Boston, Dickies, now Raleigh.
Okay, where does Raleigh stack up in comparison to the other two? And it's a little bit different, right? Because Dickies was a 3-day event and it's Worlds versus two majors.
It's hard for me to compare them because my memory is horrible. So I just know they were all great experiences. At Boston, and they're also all different in their own respects. Boston was its own because I genuinely knew nothing about RLCS going into that. I just knew Rocket League, and I did the open ed stuff. So they're like, "Hey, do you want a press badge?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't even know what I was doing, asking question wise. It was literally just coming up with questions off the dome. Still technically what I'm doing to this day, but
now it looks like you know what you're doing, and that's really half the battle.
We're getting there. Now I got a camera. I got the lavalier mics. I got everything going. I look like I know what I'm doing, but they're all different in their own respects. I would say Worlds NRG losing the grand finals really hurt Worlds, but I would say Worlds is probably still number one just because I hate driving in Dallas, but I love the city of Dallas. Outside,
Fair.
if you could take away the driving situation, Dallas is great.
Hold on, wait. Driving in Dallas, is it like? I mean, like the roads are not like quality worse, but like you merge on the right and you have to exit in 0.2 miles on the left over 6 lanes. Like that's awful. But
there's that.
The driving, is that driving worse for you than in Raleigh where everything is 25 to 30 minutes away?
Yes, because Fort Worth, I was in Dallas, and that's like 30 to 40 minutes away. Raleigh was like a tiny little city. Dallas, there was like within the city, there's just random. Instead of having bike lanes, there's a bike lane and then a curb and then a road, but you have to turn across that, so you have to make sure no one's coming, and then you have to. I almost hit the curb so many times because there's just random curbs placed out of nowhere, not even connected to the side of the street. It's just in between bike lanes and the road. What are we doing? I was so confused. So much. Luckily, did not hit anything with the rental car, so we got lucky there. They're really hard to compare. I love them all equally, but differently is the way I would explain it.
Okay. Well, then I will like.
I was gonna say you got more lands
specific.
On me, so you got you.
I think just 2.
2. You got 5 total lands on my 3.
Yeah. No, I went to San Diego, which was at the DreamHack, which. Good Rocket League, but easily number 5. Like, it's not even a close question. And then I went to the first Worlds in Dallas, and that's probably 4 because I went as a regular fan. Awesome experience, had a ton of fun, but just not. It's not the same, right? It's not the same viewing experience. You don't get to go to the closed days, which is just so much fun and like really cool. I'm probably then going Boston, Raleigh, most recent Dallas Worlds. I think that like from a perspective, from like a social perspective, I think Raleigh like definitely has the rest of them beat, right? Just because I still don't know why the imposter syndrome still hits hard on this one, but why we were cool enough to be invited to half the stuff we were invited to afterwards. Like, we got to go and take pictures at the Ranked Hoops event that Tri-House was casting and was there till like 3:30 in the morning. That's like wild that, you know, that they let us do that. They saved spots for us so that we could go do that. We went to Widow and Nito's, you know, opening party, which was awesome. Got some cool pictures, got to meet some cool people. We went to, you know, a house party with Tri-House and some others, and, you know, like Chief Beef and some other people. We went to Nebby's, you know, karaoke after party on Sunday, and it's like I don't know who we are to get invited to these things. I had so much fun. We met some really cool people. We got to interact with, you know, people that we probably never otherwise would have, you know, at least at the level that we did. But you know, so for that reason it's got to be high up, but like in terms of, and you know, seeing a MENA team win was awesome. I think Boston was really cool because of the, you know, 16-minute overtime that we saw with Rule 1 and Vitality. That's a memorable experience. But like, you know, it's just like there's so many different things that make it, that like go into each one. Like, I definitely think that Dickie, like for Worlds, the media access was cool, but like there was not really a dedicated media area.
It was it was, but it just felt like a cafeteria type situation that they was like, hey, go work over there.
And it just felt so disconnected from the rest of everything, because like if we wanted to go get interviews, we were taking the elevator down 3 stories and then running around like halfway around the arena to go to the media area. And it's like if we really like wanted to see the crowd or get good pictures or like be involved, we had to go down go down the elevator 2 floors and walk around the bowl. And like we still get the access, right? So we can still sit in any of the empty seats, but like in Boston, we had a little press box that we got to sit in, which was awesome. It was right above where the players walked out, so we got some really good pictures with cameras on tripods. Like this event, the VIP creator team media seating area was super nice because, you could set up your laptop and, get some work done while the games are going on and like edit pictures and stuff. And so that was super nice. And like it was just like right next to, where the media room was, and the players did interviews in the media room, which was an even better touch in my opinion for Raleigh, because we didn't have to like go chase anyone down. We just asked for them, and if they like accepted the interview, then they would come to us, which made it a lot easier to like organize everything and to make sure that we got the content that we wanted. But like, man, like you said, it's so hard to compare different lands just because of the different teams that get to go, the different experiences that you have, the different people that you're doing it with. Like that part is a lot of fun. But again, I feel like we get back to it. I'm sure we'll say it 100 more times. But thank you, Abby. Thank you, Blast. Thank you, Epic, Psionics, everyone who made it possible, who continue to make it possible for us and to make our experiences as awesome as possible. And to the fans for giving us a platform to be able to go and get that and to go and get the content for you. So we can't thank everyone enough.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to put it. Though obviously, I think every LAN had their own thing. Obviously, being new into the scene, Boston had the like you said, the extended overtime. We had Vitality representing NA. We had the experience of getting to be in a full-on press room. The Worlds, it had the aura of being Worlds, so that the stakes were already at an all-time high. The interview was like backstage, so pretty much players were coming off the stage and we'd get to see like through the curtain a little bit, and they talked to us directly through that. Was also cool, but also still, like I said, had the aura of Worlds, so it was awesome in that own respect. And then Raleigh, I think, just encompassed everything from great storylines, great upsets, great gameplay. And then on top of that, as we keep stressing enough trying to be in the most humble way possible, the experiences of also getting into places after. So like all of these years of getting to go to these events, we're finally working our way up in the world,
Feeling like we know what we're doing at least a little bit, right? So it's not as stressful.
Or at least acting like we know what we're doing.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to put it, right? Because like even still, every time we go, like we're like, oh, we should probably do this for content. Like that'd be really good, and then it turns out really good. And we're like, why didn't we do this before? I don't know.
Yeah. All learning process, and we're getting better and better by every LAN that we do.
Oh yeah. So hopefully by this time next year we'll be professionals when we're getting ready to head to Worlds and NA after going to Major 1 too. One can only hope. Oh my god. But with that, I think now is as good a time as any to talk. Where do we go from here? Right. So I figured we'd go through all the teams that are going to be headed to Worlds with, that have already qualified through with a regular spot. We're not talking about last chance qualifiers. We're just talking about the teams that have already qualified for their spot. With the huge caveat that all of these teams will be headed to the Esports World Cup in Riyadh, and will be competing there on LAN. So they all have another LAN like on the books before they head to Lyon for the Worlds. But I figure we start off in EU. Start off with EU number 1. We're going to go in seed order for all of these, not necessarily for regions, but in each region we're going to go by seed. So we'll start out with the Blue Wall. We'll start out with Carmine Corps. I don't think they looked good in Raleigh.
I mean, that's not a crazy statement at all. We going from literally seeing them never drop a series to going to round 5 and then getting eliminated round 1. I think it's definitely
surprising.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's also not a crazy thing to say that's beyond a disappointing outcome, because they are like we keep saying, Thanos, and they seem inevitable, but we drew more than blood at this LAN, being Ultimates beating them. Obviously, it's hard to put some stock in best of fives as compared to best of sevens, because as we've seen, that extra fourth game can turn the tides from whether it's K Corp getting reverse swept or Twisted Minds letting up a 3-1 comeback from NRG. Anything can happen with that extra fourth win needed. So
And also with the timeout, right? Because
yeah,
in a best of seven they get a timeout. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's hard to judge things specifically, but obviously it's every matchup. Every matchup is the same. Every team has to win a certain amount of games and a certain amount of games allotted, and whoever comes out on top comes out on top. But and I don't know if we're ever going to get a switch, or if Blast is ever going to start toying with the ideas of changing up the Swiss format. Going back to, because I think it used to be like every land was different, right?
Yep.
And now it's just Swisses only. Not only just for that, it's literally every regional is a Swiss, every land's a Swiss. It's Swiss or bust. It seems like they might move their place to Switzerland or something because they just love the Swiss. But it's definitely K Corp looked tough. Drawley, who I had the prediction before the season started that could take the number 1 spot in the world. He did it in the first 2 sets of opens and the first LAN. He by all means looked like the greatest player in the world. And then I don't know what happened this LAN, but Drawley from start to finish looked pedestrian.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we were talking with Snipes about it, we were talking with Red about it, and some other of the RLCS coaches. I think they changed their play style a little bit for this event. It looked like, they were kind of keeping Drawley on a leash a little bit. Like, hey, no double resets. Like, don't go for those high backboard reads. Like, I just didn't see him do it. If they did change back. Like, I don't like Carmine Core winning everything, but like when they're playing amazing, it's incredible to watch. They're a machine. So hopefully they can bounce back for their sake at EWC, but I still think they're one of the top 3 choices for Worlds.
I think that's a given. I think they, regardless, are still going to be good. I'd like to say until proven otherwise, but they have proved us otherwise. But it's hard to judge, and I feel like you're going to be hearing a lot, depending on what happens at EWC.
Yeah,
is going to dictate how we feel about these teams.
Yep. Next up, taking that second spot in EU in a little bit surprising fashion for me is Dignitas. Whatever they've been doing, it's working. Especially the second split. Appjack being the fastest player on the field, and dear Lord, Joria's showing up on a Sunday. I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that he knew what Sunday was. I think Joria's had 2 of the top 3 best plays from the whole major. Both of them on Championship Sunday. I think with a better draw, like a better bracket draw, they could make they could win the event. Right? I mean, if NRG goes through, I think NRG would have had a tough time with Dignitas as well. I think Falcons just were that good on the weekend that they just made them look, normal. But hopefully they do exactly the same thing that they've been doing for their sake. But again, we have an EWC to talk to look forward to and to watch. So who knows if it'll be the same or if we'll kind of see first split Dignitas or Birmingham where they missed the top 8. It's just going to be, can they be consistent and can they keep doing what they've been doing?
Yeah, they were the polar opposite of K Corp. They looked horrible in the first LAN and now looked beyond amazing in the second. So again, it's really just depend on if they can keep this momentum going. Stizzy, a great teammate, and Jory is a great another great teammate that both complement Appjack and his high IQ greatly. Joris will pull out some crazy moves. Stizzy is always on top of things that he needs to be. I think this team looks great and they're playing great. Look forward to EWC and see what happens. They're at EWC, right? These teams are at EWC?
They've already got in. They've already got it's confirmed. If you made Worlds, you're going to EWC.
Yeah. But yeah, it is. We are looking forward to it. Seeing Appjack. No one's ever going to complain about seeing Appjack winning. So
Yeah.
it's always good, and we look forward to seeing if they can keep this going because it's nice to see the OGs still winning. Can we consider Appjack an OG?
I would.
He's been around for a hot minute.
He has been around. But speaking of the OGs, Vitality, it kind of seems like more of the same for me, right? When they look good, they look really good. But when they look bad, they look really bad, right? And like, I hate saying like Vitality crashed out, but like after sweeping NRG on the Saturday, they show up on Championship Sunday and they get walked by Dignitas, right? One of them was an OT game, but like, man, they lost 4-1 to Dignitas and they did not look good, right? It kind of seems like what we saw from them in the EU regionals, right? Like, look good, top 6, top 4, top 4. Like, no further than that. It's like they, hey, we made it to Sunday and we're good. Like, let's just chill. And, they're still a world's contender. They still have EWC to figure it out. Monkey Moon, loves to turn it on at the end of the year. He said himself after a few beers, he loves playing in NA. I can't even imagine. We heard the interview of him playing, like what it's like for him to play in France. It's a huge deal for him. It's a huge deal for all of the French players. So, like, there has to be an added motivation there, especially for for Monkey Moon, for Zen, and for all the French players, for Exotic. But man, they need to just finish the way that they've started, because they 3-0'd Swiss, and then they made it all the way to top 4 and then laid an egg.
Yeah, it was brutal. I was going to say pretty much the same thing, that they are quite literally one of the best teams in the world up until it's either top 4 or I was deciding to be top 4 or Sunday, but you pretty much covered both of those. Once it reaches that, they turn into just a completely different team. It seems like they start to shut down. Maybe the moment's too big for Exotic. It's hard to say that about Monkey Moon, but I am a truther that Exotic is the problem, and they need to make a switch at that third spot for him. But obviously it's a little late for that. But I mean, I will keep preaching to the masses that is the problem, and we will see if they can figure it out. But obviously Zen is still Zen. He didn't look it's hard to judge him because everything up until top 4, they look fantastic every time. Swiss, they're always going to be great. And in the first round, they swept NRG.
Like in playoffs, you're talking about? Yeah.
Top set.
Yep.
They swept NRG in the first round. And they look like a great team. And then it seems like the wheels just fall off and they completely forget what they're doing.
It's almost like they looked like NRG in that upper quarters. Like, NRG forgot that they could play for the first 3.5 minutes, and they're like, "Oh shit, we should probably do something."
Before we lose out here, let's figure this shit out. But
like they gave up 3 goals to NRG in the upper quarters, and then they come back and they give up almost 3 goals a game to Dignitas. Like,
and Dig isn't like a scary team that like they should be fearful of. So for them to play how they did against them, I don't know if it's just Dignitas outplaying them or Vitality playing way under expectations. But it seems like they are, when they get to the top dogs, a very readable team. Because K-Corp obviously always has their number in embarrassing fashion, and Dignitas is now giving them the work on Sundays. So if there's any team that hasn't done it and can do it, it's them. It's either them or NRG. But until they piece together, we don't know.
True. The last EU team that is auto qualified to the main event is GK Esports. Secret stopped the Gentlemates run in top 8 and secured GK's spot in the World Championship. Inconsistency has massively plagued them this season, but maybe Ixo, their new coach Ixo, can help. In my eyes, they're a top 8 worthy team unless they can catch lightning in a bottle like they did winning their regional for a second time this season. I find that a little bit hard to believe, but again, they've been in the lab since Regional 6 concluded, preparing for potential Worlds and EWC, and I definitely think they're a top, like, they have all the capabilities of being a top 8 team, but, which GK is going to show up? That is the biggest question that I have.
I think we're going to have a tough conversation when it comes to who's making top eights, because I think the addition of LCQs, these in a nice way, the bottom feeder teams are like the free wins. Not only are there the upset ability is gone now because they're obviously capable of the upsets, but like those are few and far between. Now it's going to be 4 more than qualified teams entering that can easily take down some of these middle of the pack teams. So I think even top 8 is going to start becoming a dicey subject for some of these teams, and GK unfortunately might be one of them because we'll talk about it later, but one of the teams announced in Mina today, I think that's a really stacked team just for an LCQ terms, and this is only the first one that we're hearing about. So I don't know what other teams will be forming after this, but yeah, I think even top 8 still might be out of reach for this lineup. Obviously, they have more chemistry than I think everyone that isn't named NRG, because at least Archie and Joyo are notably 2 great friends. And was the third one Oski?
Yeah, for
GK?
For GK, Archie, Joyo, and
why Oski?
No, Oski's with
Nip. He's
NIP.
Nip.
Yeah,
I mix up him and Oli. That's
yeah, it is Oli. You're
the
right.
O names. I mix up the O names.
Yeah.
The Batmobile. But yeah, I think chemistry is going to be their friend. I do think the firing of the coach, what the reasoning is, we still do not know. But I don't know if doing that right before Worlds will be the move. Maybe GK's onto something and they're absolutely cooking, or maybe they're not. We're gonna find out. I'm not gonna be putting a lot of stock into this team, but obviously we know they're more than capable. But with the LCQs, I think top 8 might be out of reach.
So on the LCQ spot, Gen G Mobile One, Foot Esports, Virtus Pro, and TSM are your 4 teams that have qualified for Worlds that are at risk of losing their spot to an LCQ team. So I don't know, it's going to depend on who gets through where, but it is possible that you could not see, Foot, Virtus, TSM, or Gen G in the top 16 main event because they could lose their spot to an LCQ team. So just wanted to put that out there. But moving across to NA, in a similar kind of mindset to KC is NRG. I still think they're NA's best hope for a world championship. I think that they just need to remember to play the full 5 minutes every game, and they will have a chance in any series they play. I still think that they're a top 3 favorite for Worlds. I'm hoping their offense can bounce back in EWC. We saw their defensive prowess, and their certainly their clutch ability on full display, making that top 4, fighting their way through Twisted Minds. But like realistically, the offense has to be a little bit better if they want to win a world championship.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to explain them, the NRG team, is the most inconsistently consistent team of all time. But by God, do they always somehow win when it matters? So it's the one thing you can always. It's a rough to start more times than not, but they always somehow come out on top eventually. But yeah, it's a team that like. Obviously, they're going to be great. They have the number 1 NA player in the world, whichever one it wants to be that day. It literally could be any of them. It could be Beast Mode. It could be Daniel. It could be Atomic. They're all 3 more than capable players of being the number 1 NA player. It just matters on if they're how hard they're trying yet or not, or if one of them wants to build a house. But yeah, that NRG, obviously, they're still number 1. They're still the top dog. The only team that has their number to this day is the Ultimates, and we can get to them next.
Yeah. So they are next on my list here. And what's next for them is regain. A round 5 Swiss is a bad look for an Ultimates team that's coming off of a 2nd place finish in Birmingham. They would like to consider themselves one of the top 2 teams in NA, and they did not play like it. To me, it kind of seemed like maybe you shouldn't let First Killer throw off the plan. It looked like he was almost playing hero ball, just like, let me just solo everything. And he was beating one or two guys, but it looked like he just made their rotations awkward. It looked like his teammates were like, I don't really know how I'm supposed to react to this. So, like, maybe kind of play in the system a little bit more, or like tailor the system to allow him to make those kind of plays. I think a lot would have to go right for them to win Worlds after seeing what we saw, but they, luckily for them, I think they have, Esports World Cup to kind of regain some composure, kind of iron out the wrinkles and reload and, reset for Worlds.
Yeah, I think, all right. I'm a Diamond 3 player. I will start that out from the beginning. I think I have the same playstyle as FK, as it's going to be really weird the way I get it there, and you're not going to understand it, but the pass will get middle. You just have to trust it and dive bomb it. And genuinely, in most situations, you would not say, that's not me comparing myself to FK. It's just somehow my passes get through. And FK, if you watch his passes in that entire series, he was taking on 2v1s and getting it past and getting through and dropping it in front, and just no one was there to finish it some of the times. That is the only comparison I have. It's not obviously not even close ability wise. He is. I am a small infant child, and he is Michael Jordan in comparison. That's how we'll keep it at that.
You still made as many top 8s in Split 2 as he did.
Can't argue there.
At lands. I'm sorry, at lands.
At lands. But yeah, that's pretty much his play style. Is he can do some insane work, and he'll get the ball middle, but it's literally you just have to trust that the ball is going to be getting there, and someone has to be diving there. And usually that's a risky play, because all it is one quick counter, and there's you're in a 2v1 or a 3v1 defensively. So it's more of just, are they going to bite the risk, or are they going to change their play style completely and try and change it up to getting earlier, more consistent, safer passes? I think if they just have someone commit, if they play the 2-man game up front and just have a far third back, I think they genuinely could take it all, because FK's ability just in that lane alone to just get the ball middle, it's so unconventional and hard to read, but he did it every time. He would, no matter what, he'd win the 50. He would get a pinch off back wall that would just be coming at 80 miles per hour straight down. It was a thing of beauty, and also a thing of chaos. So it's hard for the teammates to read. It's also hard for them to want to buy in on diving on that play, because again, huge risk. It really just depends on if they commit to it or not. But we'll see, because obviously we've seen them make number 2 out of LAN and lose to K-Corp. Then we see them beat K-Corp in the next, and then
get reverse swept out of Swiss.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so confusing to judge these teams.
Speaking of another confusing to judge these teams is Space Station Gaming. Like we've said since the beginning of the year, extremely high ceiling, but very low floor, right? They miss out on Major 1 because they missed an event, because they lost out early. They missed the top 8 in this event because of, like we said, double NA and a loss to mates. That's tough for them. So I think really what do we do from here is you learn from the experience, right? First LAN for all of them. They're all very young players. EWC will be their second LAN, the farthest they've traveled for a LAN, farthest, being away from home for Rocket League for them, I would imagine. So realistically, maybe EWC can help them continue to build that LAN experience. And I think going into Worlds, they, most people would have low expectations of them and like of their abilities, but really the sky's the limit for them. They're super skilled, but they're super inexperienced. And that's really like what wins out, the skill or the experience.
I don't even know how to talk about this team.
We don't have to talk that long. It's okay.
Their play, I don't know. Obviously, they were committed to the play style, because Kofer's demos per game were still through the roof.
Hammer the over on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, except day 2, he hit the under on freaking game 1. Gosh, I mean, I 21 and older, 21 and up to gamble responsibly. Only bet what you can lose. PSA. Don't
do what we do.
Yeah. But yeah, that I don't know if it was a nerves thing or what, but I mean, NA as a whole looked horrible, so it's hard to only single them out. But again, they can only control themselves, and from what it looked like, there was not a single team they looked good against. Even in their only win, it was against Foot, and it went to 5 and had way more overtimes than it should have. All of those games were way closer than they should have been on paper because this is the number 2 NA seed, a regional winner in NA. It was a rough outing all over. There's quite literally, in the nicest way, no pros to this land. But luckily, the only way to learn is through loss, and
Experience.
there's a lot to learn from here. Yeah, and experience. There's a lot for them to learn. Obviously, they are by far the youngest team that were at the LAN and probably will be at EWC and Worlds. But again, they're young. It's their first time doing it, so it's hard to like put too much stock into them or into too much stock into them not looking the best because we've seen them look so beyond dominant. They play a risky play style. Sometimes it works out. Times like this, it doesn't. So maybe it could be chalked up to a lot of things. We don't know we will never know the exact answer. Or maybe we will. I don't know. We'll find out as time goes on and as we see them play more because we have 2 more lanes to see them play at. So we'll see how they do outside of the country in Saudi and outside of the country in possibly one of the scariest audiences to go against in France.
Yeah, and then last but not least,
if they make it to LAN days on France.
Yeah, for sure. And then last but not least for NA is Gen G. This was Justin's return to LAN. It finished 1 series short of making crowd days. He will, at EWC and at Worlds, he'll be looking to make his return to crowd days for the first time since 2018. Let's see how they look for EWC in EWC, but they seem destined for another round 5 Swiss to me and Leon, right? Like maybe a fringy top 8 team, but like kind of not really more than that.
Yeah, I mean, again, another team we've seen their highs be really high. That NA Open 4, they looked like a top 4, top 6 team in the world.
They won Open 3.
Yeah, that was with Reddles.
I know, but like, hey,
I think these 2 teams, the Reddles team and the Justin team, are night and day different because we've actually seen some dominance from them. And the first set of opens, it took a legacy run that I still do not know how they pulled that off. It was plot armor, and you can't convince me otherwise.
I mean, what did it do to LeBron's legacy?
How will the Gen G legacy run affect LeBron's legacy? But yeah, this split another in this lane again, making it to round 5. So on paper it seemed better, but then in results, same exact result. So it's hard to judge because it's literally the same exact result. Lost at round 5. So yeah, it's can see if obviously Justin has the knowledge. It's his first LAN back in. What'd you say? It was 3 years? 4 years?
Closer to 7, I think.
7? Ooh. I thought he won it 7 years ago.
I'm double checking myself now. Now that you've made me double.
I could be wrong.
Double guess or second guess. Yeah, they canceled Worlds in Season X. That understandable. Yep, they canceled finals in Season 9, so no lands there. Season 8 was 2019.
29.
Yeah, and
so he wasn't there in 21 or 22.
2019.
2019 was the last one.
Yes, so I was wrong. 6 years. Not 2018, because Season 9, Season 10 were both canceled, and then the decline of energy started. At least in terms of where we were at. Wait, the general NRG for 2022, was that?
I do not know. I thought he was there.
I gotta double check. I gotta double check myself now because I feel like Garrett, Justin, Squishy were in the group stage for 2022. Yeah, 3 years.
Justin was there in the 3 years. So it was 3 years.
Yes.
All right, I know a thing or two.
You did. You were right. I am incorrect.
You're all. I'm pretty sure they won it in 2018. Wasn't that what it was?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Math's checking out. But yeah, Justin, obviously we know more than capable. But again, He's running on Unk status now. Hasn't won it since 2018. He's only been to one since then. So obviously he's one of the older people. Can his abilities still transfer to today's game and the ceiling that we're at now, which is when he was winning that land, it was pretty. How I think that was at the point of champ lobbies, modern day. So the skill, the fact that he's still at this levels to this day shows his ability, shows the testament of his ability. But is it too much? Based off the last land, it looked like it was, but we'll see at EWC and Worlds.
We certainly will. And then moving on to Mina, and these are going to start to get a little bit shorter because there's 2 or less teams in these next regions, but also there's in my eyes there's less to talk about just because of their performance. Falcons first and foremost, they finally did it. They won in a championship Sunday. I'm interested to see how they can play in EWC in front of their home crowd. They played fantastically last time until the grand finals, and I think they're the world favorites coming into Lyon.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far personally. I do think they definitely conquered a huge amount, and obviously finally getting their first ever the first ever minor region land win, and not only that, their first win. They technically won VVE, which
but
could be argued
for Saudi Arabia, not for their their club. But
I was gonna say, which could be argued as a harder one because they literally beat Monkey Moon, Zen, and Vatira instead of Exotic. So it's hard to judge, but this one, no questions asked. There's no debates here. They looked insane from start to finish of the weekend because usually it goes this way. They're dominant, and then Sunday comes around and it seems like they forget how to play the game. This Sunday around, a complete difference compared to all of these last lands that they've been to. They looked insane and they completely dominated Dignitas in the finals, a thing we've never seen them do to any team in the finals. So a huge congratulations to them. If there's a team that's as consistent as them, usually up until the end, there's no team as consistent as them up until the end, usually, other than NRG maybe. So yeah, we will see. Maybe now that the championship has been accomplished, and see if they can just go on the most insane run of all time, finish it out with 3 straight chips on lands, if you count in the EWC one. But yeah, they looked insane. It was, I can't get over how dominant they were. That was an insane performance by them.
Secondly, out of Mina, another incredible performance is Twisted Minds. They had a great showing, taking down EU #1, Carmine Core in the first in lowers, and then they almost took down NA1, but they took Energy to Game 7. They still have EWC to build off of their Raleigh successes, but they looked good. I think that the loss to Energy is respectable for them, taking them as deep as they did, but I wouldn't sleep on Twisted Minds. I thought, before I would have said no shot, they're a top 8 team, but after that performance, you kind of realize you can't count out Rise, and maybe Atomic is the weak link on Atomic with a K, is the weak link on that team, but they looked awesome. Can't discount Nubo and his abilities, especially in 1v1. So he has the skills and the mechanics to make it happen. So I am intrigued to see how they can build on this moving forward.
Yeah, I will say Harmonic, when he was on the shows, I think he had them as number 2 or number 3. I think it was number 3, maybe. He had them in his power ranking as the number 3 team in the world.
He said at the event Falcon, that they were going to win.
Yeah, that too. He said that then, but yeah, he had the stock in him. Obviously, I can say confidently that Rise is a great person. It's someone that I always want to root for is Rise because he's one of the most true to himself people. He's obviously had media training, but he's going to say it how he sees it in interviews. He's going to be very open. He'll talk to shit when he wants to. He'll also be respectful when he wants to. He's not going to sugarcoat things, and so he's a player that I never want to root against just because he's just so likable in this scene. He's got everything you want in him. He's got the shit talk attitude. He's got the smart gameplay. He's got funny, witty things to say. He's got it all. And so I never want to root against Rise. So seeing them pull off that reverse sweep and then 1 game away of going to top 4, it was awesome to see. Nobu obviously has some off the field issues. Was very quiet. Wasn't any problems this LAN. So that's good. I think they took down Furia, or Furia beat them. What was it? In Swiss, I think they played.
Yes, they did.
I
They
could.
did. They
think
beat
Furia
Furia
won
in
that.
5. They beat Furia. Twisted beat Furia in 5.
Yeah, there was no quarrels, no qualms with that. So maybe Nobu has figured out to try and not acquire enemies along the way. But again, and then an insane win out of him. I don't know how they're going to be preparing for this, because he's going to have to be preparing to assumingly try and win the whole thing on top of trying to win a 1v1 matchup, which are two completely different play styles.
Yep.
Will it hurt them or will it help them? Only time will tell. But yeah, Twisted, great players. I think Atomic did great. Atomic with a K. I think the team looked great, and you can only take away positives from this LAN.
I agree. Next up, we got Sam, and I'm going to lump these two teams together, even though it is a tale of two very different fortunes in this event. But I think that that's going to be the quickest way to get through the rest of these. Furia, in my eyes, huge disappointment, not even making a top 8, and then they had to sit back and watch, at least in what I would assume in their eyes, little brother Sam number 2 to make a top 6. I would expect them to come back with a vengeance for EWC and for Worlds. Maybe don't count out Furia, but man, not a good event for them. But completely on the other hand, Team Secret caught lightning in a bottle. They took down the Ultimates in round 5 Swiss. They took down Carmine Corps in Lowers round 1. They took down Gentle Mates after that. So like a run of dreams for them. This roster is capable of popping off, but I still need to see more consistency to consider them top 8 contenders. Really, the biggest question for them is, can they replicate their form at EWC and at Worlds?
Yeah, I don't really. All of these teams, the Raleigh really just threw a fork in, or threw a wrench in all of these.
Yeah, it did.
All of our preconceived notions of these teams. It's so hard to judge any of these teams. But yeah, unfortunately, they did draw K Corp in round 5, but outside of that, they didn't look the worst, but they didn't look anything near what they usually do. Obviously, K Corp round 5, that's not an expected win at all, but K Corp also lost round 1, so who knows? Again, only time will tell. But yeah, Furia, one of those teams you can rely on not taking too hard of a step back from this. They should hopefully be able to bounce back and have a much better performance at EWC and Worlds.
For sure. I would also like to note before we jump away from Sam that Secret was the only team to take a game off of Falcons and Swiss. Falcons swept Dignitas and swept the Ultimates, and Secret got a game. Secret also almost beat KC in Swiss as well, so they looked good throughout the Swiss bracket, but a fantastic showing for them. Doing that, I'm excited to see what they can do, if anything, moving forward. Next up, probably, if I had to say, the most underperforming region currently in the RLCS today, and that is OCE. Wildcard won one game in Raleigh, so that was not a good sign. I think that they would be lucky to win more than one Swiss series in Lyon or in EWC. I would, in the same boat, we have TSM. Other than beating Foot, they took one game out of their 3 other series, similar to Wildcard. So I went back and I looked at everything. Wildcard took one game against Secret, and that is it. TSM won against Foot and took one game off of Secret, similar to Wildcard. But I'm gonna lump SSA into here too. Foot going 0-3 did not look amazing, but they took 4 games total. So the same as TSM, but they did not get a series win. That's more than Wildcard. So realistically speaking, it is a lot closer at the bottom than I think people would like to admit. But not a great look for Wildcard, not a great look for TSM. I think that they will continue to be power ranked towards the bottom.
Yeah, 0-3 for Wildcard. Brutal, tough. They're the fun. I don't know how to describe the energy that they give. Being Aussie people, it's very punk. It's like a very big underdog that you want to root for, but my gosh, are they making it hard too? Because they are looking worse and worse. It seemed like the OCE skill gap was rising, but now it seems like it's plateaued and everything else is going up. So it's hard to judge wild card. TSM, it's their first. Most of them never really didn't have too much stock in them, but they did get a win over Foot. Foot went 0-3, but by gosh, did they all three of those series beyond winnable for all three of them. But obviously the biggest villains in the entirety of the lands. No one wanted to see them win except for three.
Two of those TSM wins against Foot were in overtime too. All of them were 1-goal games.
So literally all three of those series, they looked great against Mates. They went to 5 against SSG in a very winnable series, and two overtime losses to TSM, or 2 of the matches in overtime to TSM. I think beyond doable to at least get a series win for them. We'll see how they perform at the other things, but yeah, TSM wildcard rough. Foot, there is some shining light, but they do have more experience than the TSM roster on land. So unfortunate that they weren't able to get a win. So again, you can't really put any stock in any of these teams.
Right. And then last but not least, we have APAC, and that's Virtus Pro. They're able to take 4 matches total, including a sweep of wildcard. They also have EWC to refine their game, but they will have almost their odds of doing anything of substance at EWC or at Worlds is next to 0. I don't think even they really have a shot at round 5 Swiss, unfortunately, just due to the level of competition that is, kind of similar to the expression rising tides raises all boats. I think they're going to struggle to continue to raise up to the level of the competition that they get to face.
Yeah, another team that's hard to make judgments on. A lot of high hopes going into them in this LAN. I think everyone and their mother said this is a team that will make upsets happen. Did not make any of those upsets happen. So again, not putting much stock into them. Yeah, we'll see. Definitely not the worst team here.
No, certainly not. But with that, I hope everyone enjoyed our what to do next and kind of a little wrap up of all the teams that we have, and a little bit of a preview for EWC. I'm sure that we will do a more proper one once EWC is around the corner. That is in about a month, a little over a month, but about 5 weeks. But with that, we got the last section of the day coming up, and that is a Reds roster rumors. I'm sure most people have seen a lot of this stuff, but first and foremost, Realize and Chicago both retiring. Congratulations to both of them on great careers. Chicago, multiple major winner. Realize at the peak of his seemingly at the peak of his APAC powers with Kinotrope, but another OG and legend of the scene, Chicago, retires. So congratulations to both of them, and we wish them the best of luck in their next endeavors. The next one, and this is just, it's weird to me, but it was reported by Shift, some MENA LCQ drama. A team of Dr. Known, Nush, and Ops played a 3-series best of set against Raziers, Tox, and Toxic to see who would represent Al Qadsaya in the MENA LCQ. Dr. Known, Nush, and Ops won the series won one series on EU servers and one on MENA servers to secure their win, and most importantly, their backing for EWC and for not for EWC, I'm sorry, for the World Championships for LCQ. So Dr. Known, Nush, and Ops will be represented by Al Qadsaya, the organization, and Tox, Toxic, and Raziers on the back of their loss to Al Qadsaya announced their new MENA LCQ team, the 3 Imports team. That again will be competing in MENA for LCQ, and it is 3 imports, most notably with Tox and Toxic returning from APAC on Koi, and Raziers making his return from OCE with Chiefs. So a little bit of an interesting and intriguing situation we have there for teams to kind of get some backing and some organizational support. And then last but not least, we have a new NA LCQ team, and that team being Calm, 5UP, and Talk with Coach Lawler. There has been quite a bit of drama popping up about this team. Rapid has been talking about it after 5UP posted the team announcement. Com set out 2 whole months for missing 3 events just to come back and play LCQ makes 0 sense. Also having Lawler as their coach makes 0 sense. NA thought process is so cooked. And 5UP responded with Com set out for a much needed mental break from the game, and now he's back to grinding and make worlds. It makes perfect sense. Basically, Rapid calls him a liar, and Com comes back with him and says, "I'm gonna keep it a buck. I read this whole thread, and it's either rage bait for impressions or you're in contention with Cam for the biggest loser in the scene. At least at me, you clown. If you're gonna spew out bullshit fantasies you've concocted about me and my decisions. Tired of seeing you constantly subtweeting everyone in the goddamn scene like you know anything or anyone besides the dude that nearly made Beast Mode retire because he couldn't carry your sorry ass." So
I don't know what he was getting at though, saying like that's weird that Com sat out. Like
it's happened multiple times.
I'm confused as like what he was trying to infer here.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the part that just like throws me off so much. It's like why does it matter? Why do you care?
Yeah. I will say I do agree. Why the hell is Lawler your coach?
That part seems a little bit weird. I mean, Lawler knows ball, so like I give it to him for that, but like it just seems like if that's your biggest issue with the team, totally fine. Why you have an issue with Com like not he didn't even retire, but like Com returning to play LCQ? If you make any content at all, which Com does, it makes 0 sense to not make a run. I just don't understand.
I genuinely don't understand the issue. What he said was very fair and very accurate. That it's either rage bait or he's just Cam, which is his own issue in and of itself. But yeah. I mean, I actually am a huge fan of this team. I really want to see what Talk's capable of, especially with someone of the ability of 5UP who he was on POAB, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think him. I think this is going to be a great duo, and Com's ability to his IQ and his demoing, I think, will make for a very interesting team. I really don't know what to expect from this LCQ because we've never seen it before. So this is literally one big tournament. Winner takes all, and all it is a spot to maybe go to the Worlds, which is absolutely insane of a concept. So I'm very excited for this three that got announced. I'm interested to see what Lawler's going to do as a coach because he does know ball. He has hosted a LAN before, but as far as I know, he's just the drama guy that will report some news.
I mean, he has some experience, right? He's been, he was a caster, he was an analyst. He knows his ball. Maybe he knows, maybe he's being a more of a mental coach. Who really knows what he's doing behind the scenes. But yeah. I wish them nothing but the best of luck.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go call Mike Breen to be coaching the New York Knicks, though.
This is true. Yeah.
We will see though. I have some high hopes for this three at least. I'm excited to see what they're capable of.
I am too. And then some unfortunate news: Power and Chiefs both dropped their roster for the offseason. Like we've talked about before, 'tis the season. To drop players, especially if you're not going to be competing, at EWC or at Worlds. So for a lot of these teams like Power, like Chiefs, they're not competing again until the new year. So why should they roster a team for the whole year if they don't have to? But nonetheless, still sucks for the players that they will not have org backing through the summer.
I'm surprised Power isn't trying to take the team to an LCQ spot.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned about, interesting about that too. I mean, maybe they figure, if we didn't even make an OCE spot, and we're gonna get swept out pretty much.
I think Sam 3 is there for the taking.
I don't know. We'll see.
We heard theories of who would be going there, and it seems like they're not coming true. So I as of right now, Sam 3 still seems open.
It might. We will surely have to wait and see on that one, though. I'm sure that there will be some EU teams that might make the journey or just play on the bad ping we will have to see. But with that, is there anything else that you wanted to add on today's episode before we wrap up for today?
No, we've done plenty of yapping. Which do you think? I don't know the format of EWC, so we're just gonna go with. Do you think any of the minor regions?
EWC is groups.
One of the actual minor regions.
No
longer one of the middle of the pack minor regions. Do you think any of the minor regions make it out into top 8 at Worlds?
Is Sam a minor region?
Do you think how many of the bottom 4 do you think not even make it to the Swiss? That's my question now.
Okay. I think Gen G makes it to Swiss.
You think Secret makes it to Swiss?
They're already in. It's Gen G, Foot, Virtus Pro, and TSM.
Oh, I completely mistaken them.
So I don't know which is which yet. But unfortunately, I don't really see Foot making it through. I don't know that I see Vert. I don't know. I think Gen G is realistically one of the only teams that has a shot to make it out.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Although it is double elim, so 4 of the teams will make it. So maybe we see like a Virtus Pro sneak in, but I have like negative faith in TSM, and I don't know, like from what we've seen from Foot, I would love for them to make it, but I haven't seen enough.
You said it's double elim?
Yeah, for the play-in.
So the LCQ teams have to beat the teams twice.
Yes.
Oh, I did not know about that.
Because that is their penalty for being an LCQ team, right? Like, because
that makes sense.
I would think so too. So
yeah, no, I'm good outside of that.
Okay.
I'm excited to see what happens. How long do we got until EWC?
Like 5 weeks.
5 weeks? It's beginning of August?
Yep. Well, it is August 14th to the 17th. And then it's a month before Worlds, because Worlds is the 9th to the 14th.
These players will be traveling a lot.
They're getting their frequent flyer miles in.
Yes, sir. Well, luckily, it should be all paid for them.
It certainly should.
Must be nice.
For EWC, they probably all get first class on Emirates.
Yeah, probably.
Spare no expense for EWC.
Flown to the airport, and then they got helicopter flight to the hotel that they're staying at.
Although
have their Lamborghini limousine come pick them up.
Potentially a little bit of a scary time to be in the Middle East, but hey ho.
That's a different conversation for a different
podcast and a different day. Yeah, no, exactly. But on that note, I think we'll wrap up for today's episode. We'd like to thank everyone so much for listening. Like to remind everyone that this podcast is proudly brought to you by our name-level supporters on Patreon, Alyssa B. Please remember to rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, share the show, tell a friend. It all helps us grow our audience and improve the show. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitch, which we're currently live streaming on right now, and LinkedIn, because we're going professional. And come join our Discord. Come talk some ball. Make sure to support us by checking out our merch store and our Patreon. This is how we will be funding the show and doing giveaways in the future. All of these links and more can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.